10 Signs of Toxic People and How TOs Survive in Their Environment. Have you ever felt like someone in your life is draining your energy like an emotional vampire? Today, we're going to reveal 10 signs that will help you identify toxic people who may be sabotaging your happiness. The last sign will surprise you. At the end of the video, I'll give you some practical tools on how to deal with these people and restore your emotional well-being. Before we get started, if you find value in these videos, subscribe and hit the bell to stay updated. Ready to get started? Let's start with the first sign. Sign 1, the Master Manipulator. First on our list is the Master Manipulator. Have you ever felt like someone was pulling your strings, like you were a puppet in your work or personal life? This character is like an emotional puppeteer, pulling the strings of your feelings with a dexterity that would make even the best magician pale. But don't worry, today we'll learn how to cut those invisible strings and take back control of your story. Manipulators are masters of deception, experts at using subtle tactics that often go unnoticed. One of their favorite weapons is emotional blackmail, making you feel guilty for not doing what they want, as if you were responsible for their happiness. If you really cared, you'd do this for me. Sound familiar? Another classic blame tactic, they're able to turn any situation into their responsibility. If something goes wrong, it's always your fault, as if they have a PhD in making others feel bad. But wait, there's more. Manipulators are masters of distorting reality. They can deny things that clearly happened, or they can exaggerate events to fit their narrative. It's like living in a movie where the script is constantly changing and you're the only one who didn't get the memo. A recent study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found something surprising. People in relationships with emotional manipulators often experience a decline in self-esteem and self-confidence that can last for years after the relationship ends. It's like a manipulator leaves a toxic mark on our psyche. But all is not lost. The Stoics, the ancient sages, had brilliant ideas on how to deal with manipulators. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, wrote, "The best way to get revenge on your enemy is to not be like him." In other words, the best defense against a manipulator is to maintain your integrity and not fall for their games. So how can we apply this Stoic wisdom in our daily lives? First, practice mindfulness, observe your emotions and the tactics others use to influence you. When you feel like someone is trying to manipulate you, take a step back and ask yourself, are these my true emotions or am I being influenced? Second, set boundaries. Don't be afraid to say no if something doesn't align with your values. Remember that you are not responsible for other people's happiness at the expense of your own. Third, build your self-esteem. The more confident you are, the less vulnerable you are to manipulation. As Epictetus, another great Stoic, would say, there is no man who is not his own master. Finally, practice empathy, but with limits. Understand that manipulators often operate out of their own insecurities and fears, but understanding does not mean accepting or tolerating harmful behavior. Sign 2, the Relentless Critic. Now for the second sign. Have you ever felt like nothing you do is good enough? Welcome to the world of the relentless critic, the inner judge, who seems to have a PhD in finding fault. But don't worry, today we're going to learn how to silence that voice and reclaim your confidence. Imagine for a moment that your life is a reality show, and the relentless critic is the strictest judge on the panel. No matter how well you do, he always has something negative to say. Well, that was pretty good, but is his favorite phrase. It's as if he had a radar that could spot flaws, no matter how small. This inner judge criticizes not only your actions, but your thoughts, your appearance, and even your dreams. "Do you seriously believe that you can achieve this?" is his favorite question. And the scary thing is that over time, you start to believe it. But here's the truth: this ruthless critic is nothing more than a character in your mind, fueled by past experiences and fears of the future. It has no real power over you unless you give it to it. The problem is that such a critical attitude, like a virus, can be contagious. I've noticed that when I spend time with people who tend to criticize everything, I begin to exhibit the same attitude. It's like when you travel to another country and begin to adopt the local accent. Marcus Aurelius, the wise Roman emperor, had something to say about this: "Do not worry, all things are subject to the nature of the universe, soon you will be nothing and no one, just like Hadrian and Augustus." In other words, don't let other people's opinions affect you so much. After all, we are all stardust. But how can we apply this Stoic wisdom to our daily lives? First, realize that you are more than your achievements or failures. Your worth as a person does not depend on what you do or don't do. Secondly, practice self-compassion. Try talking to yourself like you would a good friend. Would you tell your best friend that they are a failure because they made a mistake? Probably not. So why are you telling yourself that? Thirdly, surround yourself with people who support and inspire you. Remember, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you surround yourself with ruthless critics, you will become one of them, but if you surround yourself with people who see the best in you, you will begin to see the best in yourself. Practice gratitude instead of focusing on what is missing or what is wrong. Take time every day to appreciate what you have and what you have achieved. Last but not least, remember that sometimes walking away is the best option. If there is someone in your life who is constantly criticizing you and making you feel less important, it is worth distancing yourself. Your mental well-being is more important than the pleasure of others. Sign 3, Narcissist. The world revolves around them, or so they think. Do you know how to spot a narcissist? Don't worry, they'll tell you. In fact, they're probably already shouting it from the rooftops, on social media, and on any reflective surface they can find. Narcissists are like the human sun, bright, warm, and beautiful, until you get too close and get burned. They're experts at getting attention, always ready to talk about their epic exploits or complain about how the world doesn't appreciate their genius. But what's behind that facade of confidence? Psychology tells us that narcissism often hides deep insecurities. It's as if they're wearing shiny armor to hide their vulnerabilities. The characteristics of narcissism are like a tasting menu of toxic behavior. First, there's the lack of empathy. To them, your problems are insignificant compared to their daily drama. Then there's the constant need for admiration. If you're not praising them, you're not listening to them. Forget about greatness. Their accomplishments are always grandiose, and their talents are unmatched. And, of course, manipulation. They're able to twist any situation to make them look like heroes or victims, as they see fit. In interpersonal relationships, narcissists are like emotional vacuum cleaners. They absorb all the attention and support, leaving other people emotionally drained. It's like trying to fill a bottomless well with your energy and love. But wait, there's more. In the age of social media, narcissism is having its moment of glory. A recent study from the University of Michigan found a 30% increase in narcissistic traits among young people in recent decades. Instagram, TikTok, and other platforms have become the perfect playground for digital narcissists. Imagine a world where every selfie, every post, every story is an opportunity to feed an insatiable ego. Social media has created an ecosystem where constant validation is just a click away. It's as if we've unknowingly built a narcissist factory. But all is not lost. The Stoics, those ancient sages, had brilliant ideas about how to deal with difficult people without losing our integrity. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, wrote that the best revenge is not to become like your enemy. So how can we apply this Stoic wisdom when faced with a narcissist? First, practice emotional detachment. Observe their behavior as you would a scientist studying a fascinating species, with curiosity rather than judgment. Second, narcissists are like children in adult bodies. They need firm but compassionate boundaries. Don't be afraid to say no when they cross the line. Third, build your own self-esteem. The more confident you are, the less you will be affected by their manipulation tactics. It's like creating an emotional shield from your drama. Finally, practice compassion, but from a safe distance. Remember that behind the facade of grandeur, there is a deeply insecure person. This doesn't excuse your behavior, but it can help you maintain perspective. Sign 4, the silent saboteur. Silence when your success is their failure. Imagine for a moment that your life is a spy movie. You are the main character, pursuing your dreams and goals. But in the shadows, there is a secret agent of failure, putting obstacles in your way when you least expect it. This is the silent saboteur, a master of the art of subtle sabotage. These saboteurs are like emotional ninjas who operate unnoticed, leaving a trail of doubt, uncertainty, and obstacles in their wake. It could be that friend who always has a reason why your business idea won't work. Or that family member who constantly reminds you of your past failures right before an important interview. Their tactics are as varied as they are insidious. They spread subtle rumors that undermine their credibility, forget to provide important information for a project, or even outright sabotage their work when no one is looking. It's as if they have a secret manual called How to Ruin Others' Success without realizing it. But why do they behave this way? Psychology gives us some clues. Deep insecurity often underlies this behavior. The success of others acts as a mirror, reflecting back to them your own fears and perceived failures. It's as if they think, if I can't succeed, no one else can. Envy also plays a crucial role. A recent Harvard University study found that people with a high propensity for social sabotage often experience high levels of envy and low self-esteem. It's as if they view success as a limited pie. If you get a piece, it means less to them. In addition, sabotage can be a perverse way of maintaining control by keeping others in their place. The saboteur feels that by maintaining his position or importance, he is protecting himself in a world he perceives as a threat. For these agents of failure, Stoic wisdom offers us a powerful shield. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, left us with a valuable lesson: it is not the things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. In the context of silent sabotage, this means that the real power lies not in the saboteur's actions, but in how we choose to interpret and respond to them. It's as if we have a secret superpower, the ability to choose our reactions. So how can we apply this wisdom to our daily lives? First, develop self-awareness. Learn to recognize the subtle signs of sabotage. Has anyone ever said a discouraging word when you were sharing your plans? Have you noticed that a certain someone is always there when things go wrong? Second, focus on your goals. As Epictetus would say, focus your attention on what you can do. You cannot control the actions of others, but you can control their reactions and their resolve. Before we get to the fifth sign of toxic people, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel with the bell icon so you don't miss future updates. If you appreciate my work and want to support me, sign up now, and if you enjoy this type of content as much as I do, comment, "I love wisdom." Let's continue to learn together and improve our lives. Sign 5, the Obsessive Controller. Have you ever felt like someone is trying to control every aspect of your life, as if you were a character in their own game? Welcome to the world of the Obsessive Controller, where your freedom is constantly under threat. Imagine for a moment that your life is a dance. You want to move freely, express yourself, enjoy the rhythm, but there is someone who insists on keeping up, who criticizes your every move, who tells you how, when, and where you should dance. This is the obsessive controller in action. These people are like orchestra conductors who have lost their notes. They try to control every aspect of the lives of those around them, from the most important decisions to the most insignificant details. You should dress like that, you shouldn't go out with those friends, you should do everything my way. Sound familiar? But what is behind this behavior? Psychology gives us some clues. Often, this need for control stems from a deep insecurity and fear of chaos. It's as if the world is unpredictable and the only way to feel safe is to control everything and everyone around you. The impact of this behavior on relationships is devastating. A recent University of Michigan study found that people in relationships with compulsive controllers experience stress levels 50% higher than average. Living in an invisible cage where your autonomy and self-esteem are slowly eroded is exhausting. Compulsive controllers have an arsenal of tactics. They may use guilt as a weapon, making you feel bad about making your own decisions, or they may resort to subtle manipulation, presenting your desires as if they are for your own good. "I only want what's best for you," they'll say, as they push you down the path they've chosen. But all is not lost. The Stoics, the ancient sages, had brilliant ideas on how to maintain inner freedom even in the most difficult circumstances. Epictetus, who began his life as a slave, once said that, "No man is free who does not control himself." This teaching is like the key to unlocking the cage of compulsive control. It reminds us that while we cannot control the actions of others, we always have the ability to choose our own reactions and thoughts. So how can we apply this Stoic wisdom when faced with a compulsive controller? Here are some practical tips. First, practice assertiveness by clearly and respectfully expressing your ideas and desires. Remember that your voice and opinion are powerful weapons. Second, build your self-esteem. The more confident you are, the less power the controlling authorities will have over you. Third, seek support. Surround yourself with people who respect your independence and encourage you to be yourself. Fourth, practice detachment. When someone tries to control you, take a mental step back and look at the situation objectively. Remember that you are not responsible for satisfying someone else's need for control. Your freedom and autonomy are fundamental rights that deserve to be protected. Sign 6, the Compulsive Liar. If you've ever had the feeling that someone is telling you a fantastic story, welcome to the fascinating world of compulsive liars, those fictional artists who turn reality into their own personal canvas. Imagine for a moment that you're caught up in an incredible story that makes science fiction movies seem like documentaries. That's the hallmark of a compulsive liar. They can come up with stories so elaborate that they would make a Hollywood screenwriter blush. But why do they lie? Psychology gives us some interesting clues. According to a study published in the Journal of Psychiatric Research, the reasons range from avoiding conflict to impressing others and maintaining a distorted self-image. It's as if they live in a parallel reality where they are the main characters in a movie that only they can see. The problem is that we're all being dragged onto an imaginary set. Spotting a liar isn't as easy as TV shows would have us believe. Not all liars avoid eye contact or touch their noses when they lie. In fact, a University of Michigan study found that experienced liars tend to maintain more eye contact than honest people. Surprise, right? So how can we identify these masters of deception? Look for inconsistencies in your stories. Compulsive liars often have a hard time maintaining consistency in their lies over time. They spin an imaginary web, and sooner or later, they get tangled in their own threads. Other signs include a lack of specific details or an abundance of irrelevant details. When someone is telling the truth, they can usually provide specific details about their experiences. Liars, on the other hand, tend to be vague or, paradoxically, overload you with unnecessary details to distract you from the lack of persuasiveness of the story. But it's not all negative. The Stoics, the ancient sages, had an interesting take on how to deal with liars. As the philosopher Seneca said, the truth is braver than a lie, because a lie always fears being discovered. In other words, the best way to deal with a liar is to stay true to the truth and to your values. So how can we apply this Stoic wisdom to our daily lives? First, cultivate honesty in your relationships. The more we value truth in our lives, the easier it will be to recognize lies in others. Second, practice compassion. Often, people who compulsively lie do so out of insecurity or fear. Understanding this doesn't mean you should accept their lies, but it can help you respond with compassion rather than anger. Third, set clear boundaries. If you encounter someone who is a persistent liar, it's important to communicate that you value honesty and that repeated lying can harm your relationship. Remember, you can't control the actions of others, only your reaction to them. As Epictetus, another great Stoic, would say, it is not the things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions of them. Sign 7, the emotional chameleon. Has your life become an emotional roller coaster? Welcome to the confusing world of the emotional chameleon, where every day is a new adventure and not always a pleasant one. Imagine for a moment that your friend Michael is like a box of emotional chocolates. One day it is sweet and wonderful, the next it is bitter and distant, and the third is an explosive mixture of flavors you never knew existed. Living or working with an emotional chameleon is like trying to navigate a stormy sea with an ever-changing map. These emotional chameleons have a knack for keeping everyone around them in a constant state of uncertainty. One moment they are euphoric, celebrating life as if they had won the lottery, and the next moment they are so depressed that it feels like the end of the world. The scariest thing is that this change can happen in a matter of minutes without any prior notice. But why are they like this? Psychology gives us some clues. Often, untreated personality disorders, unresolved traumas, or simply a lack of emotional management skills are behind this emotional instability. It's as if your emotional thermostat is constantly broken and can't maintain a stable temperature. The problem is that this erratic behavior can create an environment of constant stress and uncertainty for those around you. It's like living in a house where the furniture moves every time you blink. You never know if you'll sit comfortably or fall backwards. A recent study from the University of California found that people who live or work with emotionally unstable people experience 40% more daily stress and 30% more anxiety, as if the emotional chaos is spreading to everyone around them. In relationships, the impact can be devastating. Imagine trying to build a relationship in emotional quicksand. One day you're the love of their life, the next you're the source of all their problems. This emotional roller coaster can leave people confused, exhausted, and questioning their own sanity. So, Cultivate your own stability. The more centered you are, the less you will be affected by the fluctuations of others. It's like a rock in the middle of a turbulent river. Sign 8, the Professional Executioner. Welcome to the grueling world of the professional executioner, where everything is the universe's fault except their own. Imagine for a moment that life is one big board game. We all roll the dice, move forward, move backward, win and lose, but the professional executioner plays by completely different rules. To them, every bad game is a cosmic conspiracy against them. These masters of crying have a way of turning any situation into a personal tragedy. Was it raining on your day off? Apparently the weather has something against them. Did they not get a promotion? It must be because their boss hates them. The coffee is cold. Apparently the barista has a personal vendetta against them. It's like they're living in a movie where they're the misunderstood protagonist and the rest of the world is the villain. The problem is that in their desire to be the eternal victim, they end up becoming the antagonist of their own story. But what's behind this constant need to blame the world? This behavior is often rooted in low self-esteem and a deep fear of failure. It's easier to blame the world than to acknowledge your own limitations and mistakes. It's as if they have an invisible shield that deflects all responsibility. It's not my fault, it's just the world against me. This phrase is your mantra, your shield, and your sword. The impact of this behavior on relationships can be devastating. It's exhausting to be around a person who constantly beats themselves up. It's like trying to fill a bottomless well with your sympathy and support. A recent Stanford University study found that people who tend to blame others for their problems are 30% less likely to achieve their personal and professional goals. This is no surprise. It's hard to grow and improve when others are always the ones who need to change. Stoic wisdom can be an antidote to the poison of victimization. As Epictetus reminds us, it's not the things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions of them. This reminds us that we have the power to choose how we interpret and respond to the events in our lives. So how do we apply this Stoic wisdom when we are faced with a professional bully, or when we fall into the trap ourselves? Here are some practical tips. First, practice personal responsibility. In any situation, ask yourself, what can I do to make this better? This is more empowering than assigning blame. Second, change the question from, why me, to, what can I learn from this? This simple refocusing can turn obstacles into opportunities for growth. Third, cultivate gratitude. It is harder to feel like a victim when you focus on what you have rather than what you lack. Fourth, practice compassion with limitations. Understand the pain behind the victimization, but don't feed the cycle of complaining. Fifth, use humor as a tool. Sometimes, a good joke can help put things into perspective. You know, I think the universe has more important things to do than conspire against us. Sign 9, the Reality Denier. Have you ever met someone who lives in their own movie? Think of life as one big movie set. Most of us are actors following a script for reality, with the occasional improvisation. But the reality denier is like the director of a surreal film. These people have an incredible ability to distort reality to fit their own narratives perfectly. If the facts don't fit their worldview, they simply rewrite the story, as if they had a magic pencil that could erase and rewrite reality at will. But what's behind this constant denial? Often, this behavior is a form of self-protection against inconvenient or painful truths. It's as if these people have built an elaborate emotional house of cards and are afraid that the slightest breeze from reality will topple it. A recent Stanford University study found that people who tend to deny reality experience higher levels of anxiety and depression in the long term. It is as if by constantly trying to escape the truth they have become trapped in their own prison. The impact of this behavior on relationships and social environments can be devastating. It is like trying to play a game whose rules are constantly changing at the whim of one person. Family members and co-workers can feel confused, frustrated, and even manipulated as they try to navigate this shifting terrain of reality. The real danger in allowing someone to continually distort our perception of reality is that we can lose our own moral compass and sense of truth. It is as if someone is putting on virtual reality goggles that show us an entirely different world. Over time, we can lose touch with the truth. The wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, can help us cope with this problem. He wrote, "If it is not true, do not say it. If it is unfair, do not do it." This teaching is like a beacon in the fog of denial, reminding us of the importance of seeking and accepting the truth, even when it is inconvenient. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that truth, though it may be painful, is the path to freedom and inner peace. It is like taking bitter medicine that ultimately heals us. He would say that it is better to face reality, no matter how difficult, than to live in a comfortable but false illusion. So how can we apply this wisdom when we encounter a reality denier or when we notice denial tendencies in ourselves? Here are some practical tips. First, develop a love of truth. Make the pursuit of truth a fundamental value in your life. Second, practice self-awareness. Observe your own tendencies to deny or distort reality. Third, seek multiple perspectives. Don't stick to your version of events, consider other points of view. Fourth, embrace uncertainty. Reality is often complex and ambiguous. It's okay to not have all the answers. Fifth, be compassionate but firm. When dealing with a reality denier, offer support, but stand firmly on the ground of truth. Sign 10, the envious person. Envy is a silent poison that eats away at relationships from the inside out. Imagine someone who always leaves a derogatory comment when you share good news. For example, "Oh, how lucky you are." These are classic symptoms of toxic envy. But why are some people so prone to envy? Psychology indicates that envy often stems from deep insecurity and feelings of inadequacy. It's as if these people live in a world of scarcity, where the success of others automatically means their own failure. Interestingly, envy can be a sign that you're doing something right. As Oscar Wilde said, "To speak ill of others is the revenge of failure." No one envies someone who is not achieving anything, so envy can be seen as an inverted barometer of your success. Therefore, it is only natural that people at the top are the target of criticism and envy. As the saying goes, no one at the top will criticize you. So how do we deal with the toxic envy of others without playing their game? Here are some practical strategies. 1. Acknowledge envy for what it is. Understand that envy is often insecurity in disguise. It is not a reflection of your worth, but the other person's perception of your failure or inadequacy. 2. Don't let it stop you. Your success is no one's insult. The best response to envy is to continue to improve, grow, and shine in your own light. 3. Focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Your worth does not come from being better than others, it comes from being the best version of yourself. As Epictetus said, "Don't wait for things to happen the way you want them to, just let them happen and you will be happy." 4. Surround yourself with people who inspire and lift you up. Value your peace of mind and set boundaries with those who are toxic. Your energy and well-being are paramount. 5. remember the price of joining the Success Club. Envy and criticism are often the price of achieving success and growth. Although this price is unpleasant, it is preferable to stagnation. Your well-being must be a priority. If you've made it this far, leave a comment with the tag emotional well-being to show that you're a winner. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to get more valuable content. Share this video with anyone who might find it helpful, and to continue improving your life, check out this recommended video. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Thanks for watching.